Verse 15, Sri Vishnu Sahasranaama Stotram. Lokadyakshaha Suradyaksho Dharmadyakshaha Krutakrutaha Chaturatma Chaturvyuhaha Chaturdramstas Chaturbhujaha. This is one of the few verses having exactly 8 names, evenly spread out to each of the 4 segments. Lokadyakshaha, Suradykshaha, Dharmadyakshaha, Krutakrutaha, Chaturatma, Chaturvyuhaha, Chaturdamstraha, Chaturbhujaha. Lokadyakshaha, Suradykshaha, Dharmadyakshaha, Krutakrutaha. Lokadyakshaha means presiding over all the worlds. Suradyakshaha means presiding not only over the world of the mortals but also of the world of the Suras, that is the Devas, the deities. Dharmadyakshaha, he is the one who is cognizer, knower of dharma and righteousness. Krita Kritaha, he is the cause as well as he is the effect. Chaturatma, four-filled in his nature. Chaturvyuhaha, four manifestations of his. Chaturdamstraha, having four protruding teeth. Chaturbhujaha, having four arms. Each arm is armed. Lokadyakshaha, Loka Adyakshaha means one who is presiding over the worlds. Presiding over all the worlds, here world means Loka. Loka means field of experiences. He is the one presiding over all fields of experiences. President is the one who is responsible for conducting of an assembly, for guiding the discussion in a disciplined manner to achieve a particular objective, and finally dissolving the meeting. It is something like Srushti, Sthiti, Laya. All through discussions, he never interferes with the freedom of speech and action of the members if they act within the agenda of the day. Similarly, the Supreme Lord presides over all the fields of activities but never interfering with the freedom of the individuals to act. This is mentioned in verse 13, verse 22 of chapter 13. There Supreme says, Upadrasta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatma iti chapyuktaha Dehe Dehe Asmin Purushaha Paraha means in this body the Supreme Purusha is therefore said to be Upadrasta, the witness, Anumanta, the one who permits all the activities, this Bharta, the supporter, enabling force, Bhokta, as the Jiva, he is also the enjoyer, and he is Maheshwaraha, the great Lord, and also Paramatma, the Supreme Self. Iti Uktaha, thus he is called in this body the Supreme Purusha, that is called a Kshetrajna, who is living in this body, that is Kshetra, performing multiple functions of the witness, the permitter, the supporter, the enjoyer, the great Lord, and of course the Supreme Self. From the Puranic standpoint, the Lord in his incarnation as Vamana was installed as the king of the three worlds, and therefore this name is there, Puranikas, Loka Adyakshaha. He got the name Loka Adyakshaha. Now, Lord Krishna in verse 10 of chapter 9, Raja Vidya Rajaguhya Yoga says, The Prakriti produces all the moving and unmoving, chara, achara. And because of this, world is revolving. But all this happens with me as the presider, president. Maya Adhyakshena, under my presiding, Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam. The nature enables, gives birth to, produces the moving and unmoving objects. Because of this, Hetuna Anenena, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Jagat Viparivartate. The world is working, the universe is operating, is a bubbling, living enthusiasm. Because of this only, that the nature which is Prakriti is creating the moving and non-moving beings. But all this is happening with me in the background as the president, Lokadyakshaha. मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगत् विपरिवर्तते. Now, the Supreme is the Lord not only of this mortal world, but He is the Lord of also the Devas, Suras. So He is called Sura Adyakshaha, Loka Adyakshaha, Sura Adyakshaha, Loka Adyakshaha, Suradyakshaha. Suradyakshaha means presiding over the gods, the president of the heavens, to whom the Devas run for protection whenever they are threatened by their constant enemies, known as Daityas and the Asuras. Whenever any Rakshasa comes and tries to dominate them or drives them away, they run straight to Mahavishnu, seek his help, and slowly get back their own kingdom. He is the one, the Supreme is the one to whom even Indra, Agni, Varuna, Vayu, and even Yama, they are all subservient. In fact, they function as per his guidelines and directions. So, when in the heaven of our bosom, we have to understand like this the real meaning. When in the heaven of our bosom, the thought angels are threatened by the negative tendencies and criminal purposes, that is, Daityas and Aturas. In that case, only option available to us, we should surrender totally and seek the protection and safety of Mahavishnu, who is the president within our own bosom. He is very much with us. Suradyakshaha. Now, presiding over the mortals or immortals, basically he is guided solely by Dharma, cognizer of Dharma. He is Dharmadyakshaha. More than Lokadyakshaha or Suradyakshaha. He is Dharmadyakshaha, cognizer of Dharma, presiding over the activities of all the living organisms. Consciousness revels, illumines both the good and the evil within. The one sacred factor that constantly illumines all the nature and all the functions, it is Dharma. The perceptions and actions of the senses of the body at the gross physical level, the emotions and feelings of the mind, the thoughts and ideas of the intellect, both mind intellect at the subtle level, is the Dharmadyakshaha, the Lord Vishnu. The unmanifest Supreme manifests as beings. He denotes both the cause and the effect. Krita akritaha, kruta kritaha. Kruta kritaha means cause and effect. Kritam, that which is done or manifested or created. Akritam, that which has not yet manifested or come into existence. Kritam also indicates the effects which have manifested out of creator's activities, and Akritam denotes the cause from which any manifestation has not yet emerged. It is still unmanifest. The unmanifest, what we call, is the unconditioned pure consciousness, which never undergoes any change. The manifest world is like a rope mistaken as a snake in darkness. The manifest world is like a rope mistaken as a snake in darkness. The self, the Atman, is like the rope in the above analogy because it is very much there, upon which the cause and the effect, the unmanifest and the manifest, they come into play. Akritam, avyaktam. Kritam, vyaktam. Now, the Supreme Being, He is both the unmanifest and the manifest. But the various aspects of the world are not different from Him. This is indicated in the next name, Chaturatma, Chatuhu Atma. He is fourfold in his nature. Now let us see what this is. The self is described as fourfold when we consider the Atman as a glory, vibhuti of the self. The essential factors in endless play of creation, sustenance, and destruction, which are the three phases of cosmic activity. The Supreme One is beyond all these three phases. Because of in the presence of the Supreme only, all these three cosmic activities do take place, namely Srishti, creation, Sthiti, sustenance, and Laya, Pralaya, destruction. All these take place under his supervision. But he is the one, obviously, beyond all these three phases. Now, similarly, the gross, the subtle, and the causal bodies. Now, in the microcosm, we refer to this the gross, subtle, and causal bodies. And in the macrocosm, we have creation, sustenance, and destruction of the entire universe. Now we can also understand like this. These three states are the waker, Jagrat Avastha, the dreamer, Swapna Avastha, the deep sleeper, Sushupt Avastha. But beyond these three is a fourth one called Turiya. And all these four are glories of the Supreme Absolute, Chaturatma. The possessor of these glories is the one who transcends even Turiya. So he is called Turiya Atitaha. Turiya Atitaha. That's why he's called Gunatraya Atitaha. Kalatraya Atitaha. Avastha Trayat. Avastha means these three. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushup. Avastha Trayatitaha. Turiyatitaha. He is beyond everything. That is Supreme Being. He is performing the cosmic activities through various forms. Chatur Vyuhaha, the four manifestations. One who manifests in the four mighty powers, they are called Vyuha, the truth that plays thus himself in these four levels, having apparently created the world of experiences. The universe is still an apparent creation in which Mahavishnu is all pervading reality. Now, for the purpose of creation, Mahavishnu manifests as four mighty powers which are called Vyuha. They are named as Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Now, Sankarshana represents Jnana Shakti. Pradyumna represents Ichha Shakti. Aniruddha represents Kriya Shakti. And Vasudeva represents the Satta Swarup. He is the final one. That is the ultimate reality. So, one who himself has these four mighty powers, which are necessary for the conduct of the plurality of this universe, is the great self, the Mahavishnu. The mind which is expressed these four forms has to reach the Supreme, has to try to get back to the Supreme through four yogas. Chatur Damstraha. Now, four yogas is one of the connotations of the next name. There are also other connotations which we'll see. Chaturdamstraha means four protruding teeth. Literally, it means four protruding teeth. Teeth is danta. Damstra is a protruding teeth. Is a canine teeth, fully developed in the upper and the lower rows, as in the case of carnivorous animals. These are called damstra. Now, this is reminiscent of the powerful damstra of the Lord when, to protect Prahalada, he took the form of Narasimha, with four protruding teeth. Again, these protruding teeth denote what? Bhakti, Jnana, Yoga, and Karma. And these are meant to destroy ignorance. Ignorance represented by Hiranyakashipa. These are destroyed by the four Damstra of Mahavishnu in the manifestation of Narasimha. These are Bhakti, Jnana, Yoga, and Karma. Now, Airavata, the great white elephant of Indra, also has four tusks. The Lord therefore says, I am the elephants, among the elephants, I am the four-tusked Airavata. Bhagavad Gita, verse 27, chapter 10. Airavatam Gajendranam. The full verse says, Uchchai Shravasamaswana Vidhimam Amrutodbhavam. Among the horses, know me as Uchchai Shravas, born along with nectar in the Ksheerasagara Madana. And among the lordly elephants, I am Airavata, Airavatam Gajendranam. Among men, I am the monarch, I am the king. Naranam cha Naradhipam, Uchchai Shravasamashvanam, Viddhimam Amrutodbhavam, Airavatam Gajendranam, Naranam cha Naradhipam. Further, these four tusks are teeth or the four padas, four stages: the waking, the dream, the deep sleep, and transcending these three, the fourth plane called Turiya. So we just read just now that Turiya is the fourth state, and Mahavishnu is beyond Turiya also, Turiyatitaha. Now, the last name in this verse is Chaturbhujaha. Chaturbhujaha, the four-armed. We are protected by Mahavishnu who has four hands. Chaturbhujaha. Now, in this Chatur four hands, the Supreme is having, displaying, or playing around with the conch, the discus, the mace, and the lotus. These are used by the Lord for maintaining dharma among mankind. Now, conch, it is known as Panchajanya Shankha, conch. This calls the jivas to follow the righteous path. They are advised to follow the righteous path leading to peace and perfection. This is the meaning of the Panchajanya. Now, Kaumudaki, Gada, mace, is used to discipline those who are enchanted by the sense pleasure, the external world, and they refuse to listen, refuse to heed the inner voice of conscience, which is the sound of the conch. If they don't listen to the sound of the conch, then Kaumodaki mace is used to discipline them. And Sudarshana Chakra, called the wheel of time, annihilates those who still do not listen to the call of the conch. Even after being threatened by the mace, if they still do not listen, they are simply annihilated by the Sudarshana Chakra. Lotus now denotes the ultimate goal, which should be the objective of all the living beings. So, Mahavishnu's four hands, having those four, indicate all those things. Now, subjectively, Mahavishnu is the self within, manifesting as the four armed subtle body to serve as the Isha, as a controller of the gross physical structure in all its actions and protect it with existence. Chaturbhujaha. Now, the subtle body, there are four equipment. What are the four inner equipment? That is called antakarana. Inner equipment. Antakarana. The four inner equipments are the mind, the intellect, the chit, and the ego. Chit is the lotus. Intellect is the conch. Ego is the mace. And mind is the discus. You can understand like this also. All these four are wielded by the one infinite Narayana, manifesting to maintain and sustain the world. Since the self functions thus in a fourfold pattern, Mahavishnu has got the name Chaturbhujaha, the four-armed Lord. Conch represents the wake-up call. Mace is for removing the obstructions. Discus represents the Kala Chakra, darshan of the Supreme. And lotus ultimately denotes the supreme knowledge, which should be our goal, first and foremost goal. Okay? So, with this, we have come to the conclusion of this verse. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrutyorma Amrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.